Hello everyone and welcome to Cookbook Chronicles. Today we are going to be reviewing the restaurant Rich Table. The chefs behind this masterpiece of a restaurant and cookbook are Evan and Sarah Rich. They also own RT Rotisserie, where you'll find delicious rotisserie chicken and other small bites such as these. But we're not here for that. What we're here for is this, their cookbook. And their cookbook is divided into multiple categories, as you'll see here. The categories are bites, appetizers, pastas, mains, desserts, and cocktails. To begin, we are going to be focusing on the Porcini Doughnuts with Raclette Dipping Sauce. These are not your average Krispy Kreme donuts. These are savory, golden pillars of joy that are infused with earthy porcini mushroom powder, and they're fried till crispy perfection, then served with a raclette dipping sauce, and that recipe is also showed here a little bit later. You could still find these porcini donuts on their menu today, as they are a staple and have been since 2012. Do not be intimidated by their Michelin pedigree, as the recipes in the book are very easy to follow, well organized, and meant to be cooked at home. Making these donuts is actually quite fun, and they'd be a perfect addition to your Super Bowl party. As you've been watching, I have the all-purpose flour inside my mixing bowl, and then I added the salt. Then went ahead and cracked 2 eggs into the flour. Now I'll be mixing it with my hands. Feel free to use a whisk or a spatula if you'd like, but I just tend to enjoy using my hands when I'm cooking. I am now adding the water and yeast into my flour mixture and gently incorporating it into the flour and eggs. Yes, the dough is very sticky, and that's fine. That's the way it should be. I gradually add the water to my mixture, and it just makes it easier for me not to make a big mess. Also, if you haven't already and you want to, feel free to like, subscribe, because I have 3 other Rich Table Cookbook videos that I will be coming out with. Most of my reviews are going to be a series like this. It's slowly starting to come together now, and I just want to make sure I don't have any dry bits sticking to the bottom of the mixing bowl. Once you have it fully incorporated and you have a nice sticky dough like such, I used a bench scraper to make sure that I cleaned up the edges and got all the dough down to where it should be. Then I covered with plastic wrap and let it rest in a warm area for an hour. Following the instructions in the book, while the dough is resting, I go ahead and gather all my ingredients to make the Raclette Dipping Sauce. A little story about the Porcini Doughnuts. They were an instant hit in 2012 when they put them on the menu. And that year they served them at Outside Lands, which is a huge music festival in San Francisco. And Spin Magazine happened to write an article about the 40 best things that they saw there. Number 1 was 9 Inch Nails, number 3 was Paul McCartney, and number 4 was the Porcini Doughnuts. There's a little snippet that Sarah writes that says 5 was the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and she exclaims, "Our donuts are better than Flea," the drummer of the Red Hot Chili Peppers. If that isn't something to be proud of, then I don't know what is. These donuts seriously are that good. Moving along, what we have here is just some melted butter and the all-purpose flour. Be sure to cook your flour out, otherwise your sauce is just going to end up tasting like raw flour, and you don't want that. So take the time and make sure that you cook this flour and butter paste. Basically what you're doing is making a bechamel to start. bechamels, once you add cheese, become a Mornay sauce or a cheese sauce. Once your flour is nice and cooked, what you're going to do is slowly drizzle in your whole milk. And you want to be constantly whisking and pouring your milk. This way you don't get lumps of flour stuck. You want a nice, smooth, creamy sauce. You don't want any lumps in it. You will want to continuously stir this mixture until it thickens. You don't have to stand over the pot and stir it, but every couple minutes or so, be sure to give it a nice quick stir. This way nothing sticks to the bottom of the pot and it cooks properly. You don't want anything burnt. It's going to take about 10 to 15 minutes for the sauce to fully thicken to where you will start adding your raclette cheese. Raclette cheese is a French cheese, and more than likely you'll find it in chunks or wedges. I happened to find mine at Trader Joe's already pre-sliced, which was kind of interesting because I was not expecting to find that there. I was just browsing the cheese section looking for, something to throw into a salad or have with some crackers and charcuterie. And lo and behold, I found raclette and I was like, oh, perfect. That saves me another trip to the store. You'll want to gradually add in your slices or your shreds of raclette cheese and make sure that you constantly whisk so everything melts and again, it stays nice and silky smooth. Now that I've added all the raclette, it's nice and creamy. I'll add my salt at the very end, and you can kind of see how thick it is, but to get a better glance, I'll show you what you're really looking for. Using the back of a spoon, dip it in there, turn it around to the back side of the spoon, and just draw a line down the center with your finger, and you'll see that it kind of holds its shape, like so. Delicious. Now just keep this in a spot to stay warm, or keep it on a really, really low heat while you make your porcini powder. You could find the porcinis and shiitakes at a local Asian grocer, which is what I did. The porcini powder that I used is actually mushroom powder that I had sitting around. It's not the one that they use in the restaurant, but that you could actually find at another Asian grocer as well. They're like these little porcini pellets, if you will. But what you're going to do is load everything into your spice grinder and blend it all up. Obviously, I only did so much because my spice grinder is pretty small. So if you need to, pulverize whatever you could fit in first and then add the rest later. You are going to want to take a sieve and pass it through to make sure that you don't have any big chunks of the porcini powder. You could put a piece of parchment paper down underneath, or, try not to make a big mess like I'm doing here, and actually get the powder into the bowl and not on the sides of the bowl. Once you have all the porcini powder sieved, put it off to the side, and now the fun part, frying the doughnuts. After an hour, your dough should look like this, doubled in size, and just looks really airy. Once you begin to fry, the oil that you should be using is either canola, vegetable, safflower, or rice bran oil. You don't really want to ever fry with a extra virgin olive oil or an olive oil. The flavor is, not going to be good at all. Plus, once you fry or get olive oil to over 350 degrees, it just doesn't taste very good. It's really acrid, and yeah, olive oil is just not meant for frying. Meant for like salads or having it fresh with bread. As you saw, I took 2 spoons, one to gather up some of the dough, and the other one to scrape it off into the fryer. You're not going to get perfect balls or spheres, and you don't necessarily want them. I mean, the beauty of these donuts is that they're just rustic and they're all different. You want to fry them for roughly 4 to 5 minutes. Also, be sure to make space, workspace, because otherwise this is going to happen where you nearly drop a mixing bowl into your pot and spill hot oil all over your feet and your kitchen floor, which you do not want. So make sure you have plenty of workspace. Learn from me. Once you have your donuts out of the fryer, make sure you put them in a mixing bowl and sprinkle your porcini powder over the top. I'm very generous with the amount of porcini powder just because I want that delicious umami that the powder brings to these donuts. Now, just take a look at how pillowy and fluffy these donuts are. Now, to plate these porcini donuts, what I have here is just a small plate. I'll throw a saucer on the plate too. And the saucer is going to be the thing that holds the raclette dipping sauce. To finish this off, just add some minced chives over the top of your raclette, and your porcini doughnuts with raclette dipping sauce are ready to enjoy. Yeah, they're that good. Thanks for watching, and make sure you like, subscribe, because I have 3 more reviews from this cookbook.